across the board here on hawkradio.org and acrosstheboardradio.com. Again, best bands in the world. That's all we bring you here. And punk is one of the genres that's definitely thriving right now. But a band has been around for almost 2 decades now, which is crazy because I just realized it's been almost 2 decades since I graduated high school. But in any case, it's kind of dating me a little bit. It's got to be Authority Zero, which is one of the best. I don't want to say one of the best punk bands, but one of the best bands. Period. So these guys are out of Mesa, Arizona, and we have Jason, lead vocals, with us right now. Jason, welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Again, I can't believe it's been nearly 20 years since you guys have, got together. It really blows my mind. But, and like I said, it makes me feel old. But I guess we're all around the same age. But,
right, we keep on getting older together.
Right, I know, man. But, talk about bands find success, or at least find notoriety, really, really quickly these days because we're in the digital age and the social media network age. But you guys started in '94, but didn't really have your first album out, on a label until 2001. So it actually took quite a while. Yeah. Talk about the difference between starting then and taking so long to find, I guess, commercial success, and then how quick it goes now from when you put out an album to getting big.
It was again, we played for 8 years before that happened, and the whole thing to us, the whole point of what we were even doing was we had no real rhyme or reason to it. We were just kind of doing it because we enjoyed playing together, and we really didn't know any better. We weren't really looking for a way to break out or do anything crazy like that. We were just playing our asses off here locally and doing a few trips to Mexico, whatever, here and there. You know what I mean? So, that's like I said, it took about 8 years for something to catch on with anybody at all, and when that happened, it was like, oh, okay, cool, what just happened?
Do you think
so? Like you said, it was different time back then. It was, you barely had MySpace or whatever, if even that, back in the day, and all that junk. So it's definitely, much easier to get out there these days and people to see you and get a chance to hear your music. So it's a different process completely. From what we did back in 2002 with that record and the major label stuff to now, it's just been like a kind of a working class kind of band where you just you get out there just like you're starting over again every year with a new record, and you get out there and you push it yourself, or you get an indie label to help you out in some ways or another just because they have different connections or whatever. So it's just, I don't know, it's a hard one to answer what makes it easier or not or different these days. Just it's a completely different ball game.
Social media aside, do you think that the reason that you played together initially was for the fun of it and the enjoyment of it, like it was a hobby more than it was a job? Do you think that once you guys finally started finding success, that's what helped you rise so quickly through it?
I think so, yeah. There was a big part of it. People were like, why don't you move to Los Angeles? And, you live in Phoenix, there's not a lot going on there. You have the Gym Blossoms or whatever coming out here, Jimmy at World and stuff. But it's move to Los Angeles. People were like, you do that? We're like, no, we never really crossed our minds. I think it's kind of benefited us in that respect as well, that we were kind of like in an area where there wasn't a whole lot maybe coming out of here, so we had a chance to kind of stand out a little bit when things would start popping a little bit.
Now, talk about lineup changes. You guys have changed lineups about as often as Guttermouth or Chimera or one of those bands. How does that affect the dynamic within the group, and how does it affect? Just getting along as people, and then how does it affect the sound as well?
It totally does, man. It was a rough one when we had our first change. It was probably 2006, I think, is when things kind of started taking in different directions with different members. And people got, they got older families, just like get burnt out a little bit from touring. And it's just like after that long a time, you're like, wow, what am I doing with my life? Like it's don't have kids, don't have a wife, all this stuff, and that starts happening, and then you're like, oh, we're growing up now. It's kind of weird. We're just a bunch of kids having this good time and having fun with it. And when the four of us, when we finally got a core four of us, it became a real individual addition, to the band, which made it so different, I think. Which gives a chance to play all these different varieties of music and make it work somehow without feeling too forced. And so when you lose that, one of the core guys you've been writing with for all these years, you're kind of like, oh, well, what's going to happen, And so you just kind of hold on true to it. Like, luckily, because we've been together for so long, we had different influences from each other that started rubbing off on each other, and so we held on to that, throughout the different people coming in and out. And the people that have come in and out have been eclectic as well. So, it's really helped to keep it unique-ish in a sense, I think, and keep kind of true to our sound for the most part. But it's dynamically, it's weird too, because you kind of get a fresh start with new faces that people are, again, rejuvenated and excited about being in a group and doing the touring and stuff. So it kind of gives it new life as well in a weird way.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something about getting older, and it struck something in my mind. Do you have people still trying to convince you that you can't make a career out of being a rock musician? I mean, as you get older, do you find people still looking at you differently, trying to convince you otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, you're not making a whole crazy lot of money, doing this. You kind of just go out there, you work your ass off again, and, you come home, with a little something in your pocket to help pay the bills a little bit for that month. But, I mean, for the most part, you probably make more doing a day job. You still stay alive, and you stay alive as a band. You keep out there with your fans and your friends and all that, and, you see the progression of it growing and growing. So it's, just when you do the shows and you see the kids still coming out and they're getting nuts, and, you're knowing you're still able to stay alive, but while you're out there doing it, and not live on the streets completely, makes it all worth it.
Yeah, because you're doing what you love. I mean, that's
exactly
what we all want to do in life. What's they say? If you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So, I mean, that's the great thing. And you guys are hooked up with some good people now too. You've got Hardline Entertainment managing you, and you're on Viking Funeral Records, which was from Hardline and Fletcher from Pennywise as well, the reunited Pennywise. Talk about what it's like to work with just good people. I mean, how does that affect your career? And you guys have hooked up with a lot of friends of our show as well. I mean, Laura, and Real Mackenzie's, those guys have been on the show as well. So you're aligned with the right people as well. How does that affect you?
In a really big way. Like you said before, with the major labels, you were so disconnected. I mean, it was great. They had all this money they were throwing at you, but I mean, it wasn't what you initially were set out to do, I guess, in a weird way. It's like you didn't have the immediate connection with people that were like-minded, with the things that we wanted to do with the band, and just get out to the people that we wanted to be in touch with, in the different kind of music scene that we were really a part of or trying to be intertwined with, you know what I mean? So working with, like I said, Fletcher and with Ken and all this, it's more of this, more the punk scene, I guess, and more the hardworking kids that are out there, again, working really hard to play the music and get out there in front of the fans and do it as a community, and that's the best thing about it, I think, probably is.
Another thing, too, is you found a lot of success using your songs in video games as well. Project Gotham Racing 2, MX ATV series.
Yeah.
Rock Band's had one of your songs as well. Is that something that was kind of like a goal of yours as well, to set out to try to get some songs involved in those projects? Or is it just something that happened to come along and you thought, hey, this sounds like a great idea, let's do it?
Yeah, that was nothing we even aimed for at all. The first one we ever did was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and obviously you grew up skating and still do,
Sure,
right. So that to pop up, I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, sure, why not?
Damn right.
That'd be awesome. And then from there, different offers kind of came in, and that was back in the earlier days of management too. Like different offers were coming in from different companies and publications or whatever. And so we just looked at it, we kind of went over it, reviewed it. We're like, yeah, as long as there's not any weird ties or whatever, and negative backlash, honest, and let's go for it. So it's funny to say that too, because like that ATV game, I definitely solo acoustic music as well. I did a gig here 2 days ago back in East Mesa, and this kid had never seen me play acoustic before. He's been a fan of Authority since he found Revolution on the ATV game.
Okay,
nice.
It's cool.
How cool
because
is that?
of that.
Yeah.
It's just reaching out to different people that would normally have for music, and it's kind of cool to see those things pop up.
All about exposure.
Yeah, I'm sure it's helped you gain a few fans along the way.
Across the board here with Jason from Authority Zero. What do you want the legacy of Authority Zero and yourself to be? Either when it's all said and done, or have you reached that point now? What is success to you? You guys have been around for nearly 20 years, and I hope to God you've got years and years more, decades more ahead of you. I'm such a huge fan. But what is success to you? What do you want to accomplish?
You know what, man? Honestly, it's like sky's the limit. To be honest with you, I mean, I don't even know what the immediate goal really is anymore, except to stay out there and get a chance to tour new places, see new parts of the world. Really, and just different people from different places around the world. It's just such a cool connection and a weird thing that bands are allowed to do and able to do when you get to that point of touring. But I mean, honestly, man, that's like one of the biggest goals to me was. I always said I would just want to be acknowledged as the musicians, and not even just like the guys in the band, those guys in the band, from the people I looked up to, like bands like Bad Religion, Pennywise, these groups, you know, but wanted to be acknowledged as a band that they respected, and as actual musicians and as a group that they could call their peers one day. You know, and the crazy thing about it is, like, I think we've reached that in some respects with some of the bands we did look up to. You know, the Pennywise guys, we're good friends with them now, and you know, we've done tons of shows together, and it's like we're not just like, oh yeah, those guys are a little group over here. It's like they're like, oh yeah, Authority Zero, let's take those guys out.
Yeah, nice.
You know, and that was ultimately when I was a kid. I was like, after that, I'm good. I'm like done. You know,
right? That's a lot of respect.
Once we did start having actual goals, you know, and like be like, oh, we're going to be doing a touring band thing now. That was ultimately in my head. I was like, after that, I'm good. You know, so I mean, from now on, it's like sky's the limit. You really, I mean, whatever happens and comes, it's basically want to leave behind the legacy of, you know, knowing we worked hard, knowing we never gave up when the odds were completely against us, you know, and continue to play, tooth and nail for our fans and continue touring. And, you know, again, that we had that respect from the bands that we looked up to and played with.
The Stories of Survival came out in 2010, incredible album. But I hear tell that a new Authority Zero album will be coming out maybe around April of this year. What's the scoop on that?
Yes, it's coming out. We just recorded it. Recorded it probably about 3 months ago. We finished recording with Cameron Webb out at Maple Studios in Santa Ana.
Okay.
And yeah, it was cool. It was a cool new experience with him because we'd done Ryan Green before for the last couple of few records. And Ryan did a great job as well. But it was cool to step out and do something different. That we, you know, that's what this is all about too, is trying new experiences and getting new life adventures and stuff. So we're really stoked to work with him. It turned out really great. We're completely fired up about it, and it's coming out April 2nd. It's called The Tipping Point, which is actually a title of a Malcolm Gladwell book that I was reading on tour.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after we recorded the album, we're trying to figure out names, and I started reading this book. It was about, you know, a huge outbreak and an epidemic just made by small changes, you know, pretty much saying, you know, just by little things you can change complete course of whatever's going on with your life or just the world in general.
Right.
So, I mean, the whole album's kind of encompassed around that idea, and we're stoked, man. It's coming out on Hardline Entertainment this time around as well, and we're just fired up to get it out, dude.
Now, you know, new producer, you said, you know, you've worked with this guy for the kind of the first time here. Did that change the recording any? I mean, when you were, you know, I know different engineers can change things, mixers, all of that, but did it change the recording process? Did you use different ways to fine tone or to be inspired or anything like that? New locations?
Yeah, it was totally new. Like, so we pretty much went up there and lived in Los Angeles for the full month, you know, and unfortunately the guys couldn't be out there the whole time, but it was definitely different. You know, we recorded the last two here in Arizona, so it was cool getting out of the comfort zone, I guess, a bit, and not having the day-to-day distractions of, you know, cruising back to your house and all that, you know. So, I mean, completely inspirational. And working with Cameron, it was really cool. It was a different process, and the fact that he just had different techniques, you know, than Ryan did too. And we really wanted to go for more of a raw kind of sound. You know, we had very clean records, seems like the last couple of times around, and we kept on hearing over and over again, you know, your records don't do you guys justice, you know, compared to your live show. We're like, I think you totally agree. So we gave it a shot to use less click track, less clean up time and all that. We try to keep it as raw as we could.
Nice.
We're pretty stoked the way it came out, man.
So what's in the future then? You have an album coming out in April, as you've mentioned. What's in the future? What do you want to see happen throughout the rest of this year? Another tour? Do you want to try to get a collab with someone for a next album? How do you want to approach the rest of 2013?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much collaborations, like you said as well. I'd like to see us, you know, possibly do a split with a couple bands, and then be kind of fun. I've seen a lot of bands do that, and it's just something we haven't really done before. And again, just reach out to new areas of touring. And I think we are finally. We're going to Russia for the first time for our first tour in April, right after the album comes out.
Excellent.
That's crazy to me. You
Nice.
know, and then I guess we're going to be going over to Australia just shortly after that for the first time. So that's pretty much what the year entails. Is this album out, and we're going to be touring pretty much until the turnaround of the next year, I'm sure, at least. And if things keep on progressing with that, then even more so.
Everybody goes to Australia. That place is happening right now for rock and punk and everything, like Soundwave Tour, all of it. It's amazing the bands they bring over there. It must be incredible.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I mean, our buddies Poor Habit, man, they got signed to Fat Wreck, and they went over there. It was like one of their first big tours too, with No Effects, and all of a sudden they're just catching fire. You know what I mean? I think they're playing Soundwave as well, and that's one of our goals too, is to get on Soundwave and hopefully
Mhm.
broaden our audience, because we know we have some fans over there, but we haven't seen like a huge response obviously yet because we haven't played over there. So hoping to do that and then see just where things take us.
Absolutely. So, Jason, say you only have time to listen to one more song in your life. Now, you can listen to it or you can perform it. It can be yours or anybody else's. What's that last song you want in your head?
Oh man, I think the last song I want in my head. That's a tough one.
We try.
I don't know.
I'll give you time. It's a 2-hour show. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'd say maybe, I don't know, I like Automatic Man. That's one of my like childhood, Bad Religion songs. Like,
Okay.
It kind of stands out. It's just right to the point. It's, rad. Or performing wise, I'd probably say A Passage in Time, which is one of our
course.
first songs of the first album we really released. It's
Yeah.
just one of those songs that kind of encompasses everything that I've gone through with this whole ride, and just it's a really standout point with me and the fans and the friends.
Bad Religion's another great band that stood the test of time, and I got to see them play a long
Years
time
ago.
Yeah, it had to be late '90s or something like that here in Maryland, and they were a good one as well, man. Great ones. But we always push this here, on Across the Board, that music should be experienced, not just listened to. So bands make money off of merch and off of ticket sales. So go see these guys when Authority Zero goes on tour. Definitely buy the album as well.
Yes.
And we always talk, Jason, about buy an entire album. So many people buy, I like 2 tracks and that kind of thing. But you spend a lot of time writing and recording 12 songs or however many songs it is, and you really want people to hear that whole thing, right? I mean, that's because a collection of a total thought.
It is, man. It's actually like a story. I mean, that's like you say, bands put so much time and effort into like the writing process, into small stupid details. You know what I mean? Like just the fact of like the outlay, the full things inside the album, the booklet, all that. Just it's something that it's the whole thing. It's the whole story, the whole package, the whole thing that the band's been going through. That the views or whatever the case. Down to like putting the songs in the right order so the kids can go on kind of a trip while they're listening to it, rather than and get the whole thing was happening.
Tells the story.
So, yeah,
Nice.
exactly. So yeah, definitely, man. I think kids should get out there and not just pick up a song or two if it's their favorite or whatever, but try and get the whole album and really see what the band did and the work they put into it, because it's a process.
And of course, fans can follow you guys off your website. Your official website is authorityzero.com. Your Facebook page /AuthorityZero. Well, how else can people keep in touch with you and the rest of the band and everything going on Authority Zero?
That's really the best way. Like I said, authorityzero.com. It's linked to our Facebook and all that, and we're constantly updating it, and we're constantly, putting shows out there and just what we're doing all around with music and tours and just daily life stuff too. Just that's a direct source. That they stick with that, and it'll link you up to like whatever else is going on out there too.
Excellent.
Again, go see these guys. Buy the album. It's called The Tipping Point. It drops April 2nd. The Tipping Point. Go check it out. And while you're there, by the way, if you don't have their back catalog, get everything else they've done. I can personally recommend every song these guys have ever written. Love all of it. So go out and support these cats. Absolutely, man. Thank you. So we'll be back here in a few minutes here on Across the Board here, hawkradio.org.
And acrosstheboardradio.com.